He confessed. Every detail. How he killed his daughter. Where he buried her. Why he did it. The jury sat frozen. The judge's gavel hovered. And then, the doors opened. She walked in. Alive. Breathing. Eyes wide. The girl he swore he murdered. Courtroom chaos. Screams. Gasps. And one question echoed. If she was alive, who did he kill? This is the story of Marcus Hayes, a black father from Atlanta. A man who admitted to a crime that never happened. A man who gave details only the killer should have known. This is the story of Imani Hayes, his 15-year-old daughter. The girl everyone thought was dead. The girl who walked into court. But behind this story lies a deeper horror. Evidence that doesn't match. A confession that makes no sense. And a shadowy figure pulling the strings. Because Marcus didn't just confess. He believed it. And when the truth came out, it broke more than just a family. It cracked open a system built on secrets. Subscribe to this channel now. Let's uncover how this chilling true crime story ends. Atlanta. Summer. Heat rising off the cracked sidewalks. Sirens echoing in the distance. Imani Hayes, 15 years old. Bright smile. Braids tied with gold beads that clicked when she walked. Honor roll student. Dreamed of becoming a nurse. She left school one afternoon and never came home. Her book bag was found in a vacant lot behind a corner store. Inside, notebooks, a half-empty water bottle, and her phone, battery missing. The neighborhood panicked. Flyers taped to poles, vigils on church steps. Her mother, Denise Hayes, cried on the local news. Please, whoever has my baby, bring her home. For 2 weeks, nothing. No texts, no sightings, no ransom notes. And then, the break. Police picked up Marcus, her own father. Detectives claimed Marcus looked tired, broken, eyes bloodshot from nights without sleep. At first, he denied everything. Said he loved his daughter. Said he'd never hurt her. But the questioning dragged on. 12 hours, no lawyer, just 2 detectives, circling, asking the same thing over and over. Finally, Marcus cracked. He put his head in his hands and whispered words no father should ever say. I did it. The room went still. He described driving Imani to an abandoned warehouse. Said they argued. Said he snapped. Said he struck her once, too hard. He said he panicked. Buried her near the river, wrapped in a blanket. Detectives leaned forward. Where exactly? Marcus drew a map, street by street, down to the tree where he claimed he dug the shallow grave. Hours later, officers uncovered human remains. A young girl, the same size as Imani, the same clothing described in her mother's missing person report. It looked airtight, case closed. Courtrooms buzzed with whispers, but this one roared. A father accused of killing his own daughter. And not just accused. He confessed. Denise sat in the gallery, face in her hands. Friends whispered prayers. Reporters scribbled notes. The prosecutor painted Marcus as a monster. Ladies and gentlemen, he killed his own child, then told us exactly how he did it. The defense tried to argue coercion, said Marcus had been interrogated for too long, that he wasn't in his right mind. But then came the evidence, The body, the clothes, the map he drew. It was over. Everyone knew it. Marcus hung his head. He didn't fight it, didn't protest. He whispered, "I deserve this." And then, the doors opened. Every head turned. Shoes echoed on the tile floor. A girl stepped forward, braids clicking with beads. Brown skin glowing under the fluorescent lights, eyes wide. Imani, alive. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Denise collapsed. The prosecutor dropped his pen. The judge froze. And Marcus? He lifted his head. Tears streamed down his face. He mouthed one word, "Baby." The courtroom exploded in chaos. Because the girl he confessed to killing, the girl buried near the river, was standing right there, alive. How? That was the question. How could Marcus confess in detail? How could police find a body dressed like Imani? And yet she was alive? Detectives swarmed her, asked where she'd been. Imani said she didn't remember much, said she'd been with a woman who promised to keep her safe, a woman she couldn't name. Her memory was foggy, like pieces missing, like a dream half remembered. Forensic experts examined the body in the grave. It wasn't Imani. DNA proved it. But the resemblance was haunting. Same age, same height, same clothes, a different girl entirely. But who? The press went wild. Zombie girl, miracle child, father of lies. Marcus was released from his cuffs, but not from suspicion. Prosecutors wanted answers. Detectives wanted answers. The public wanted answers. Why did Marcus confess? Why did he draw the exact map? Why was another girl's body there? And most of all, who was the other girl? The medical examiner found faint marks on her wrists, signs of restraint. She hadn't died from blunt force. She'd been poisoned. And in her pocket, a slip of paper. One line written in shaky hand. "She isn't yours." Whispers spread. That Marcus hadn't killed anyone. That he'd been set up. But by who? Imani started remembering fragments. A dark car. A motel room. A woman's voice saying, "Your father doesn't love you, but I'll take care of you." Denise begged her not to push it. But detectives pressed harder. They discovered something chilling. 3 months before Imani vanished, Marcus had been investigating corruption at his job. He was a maintenance supervisor at a city-owned housing project. He found invoices for repairs that never happened, millions missing. And the name tied to the contracts? The same name that kept appearing in the investigation notes. A woman. The house was silent. The TV hummed in the background. Imani had finally fallen asleep on the couch. Denise was folding laundry in the kitchen, and Marcus sat by the window, staring at the city lights. Then, a sound. Soft, quick. Paper sliding across the hardwood. He opened the front door. No one there, just a piece of paper on the mat. A letter, folded once, no envelope. No return address. Marcus unfolded it with shaking hands. One line scrawled in red ink. "This isn't over. She was just the first." Marcus dropped into the chair. His chest tightened. Every muscle in his body screamed to tear the letter apart, to burn it, to pretend it wasn't real. But Denise saw it. She snatched it from his hands. "What is this?" Her voice broke. Her eyes flicked to Imani, asleep just feet away. Marcus whispered, "Somebody's watching us." Denise's knees buckled. She sat down hard. Because if the letter was real, if it wasn't some sick prank, then the nightmare wasn't over. It was only beginning. By morning, the letter was in police hands. Detective Sharon Brooks, lead on the case, read it 3 times. Her face stayed stone cold. "It's a threat," she said finally. "But the question is, who left it?" Marcus shook his head. "I don't know. But they know us. They know my daughter." Brooks leaned closer. "You ever hear the name Angela Price?" The name hung in the air. Denise froze. Marcus stiffened, because that was the name from the housing contracts. The name tied to millions in stolen money. The name Marcus had seen before Imani vanished. Brooks lowered her voice. "She's not just a contractor. She's a fixer. If you cross her, people disappear." Marcus whispered, "She took my daughter." The autopsy of the body buried by the river was still haunting detectives. A girl, same age as Imani, but not her. The medical examiner found something new, tiny scars on her arm. Numbers, branded, not a name, not a word, just digits, 208. Imani had never seen her before, neither had Denise. But Marcus felt a chill, because he'd seen those numbers once before. Spray painted on the side of a boarded-up unit in the housing project. Apartment 208. Detectives raided the old complex. The air smelled of mold and dust. Graffiti lined the walls. And there, under layers of paint, faint but visible, 208. The door hung crooked. The lock smashed years ago. Inside, the walls were covered with photos. Children, dozens of them. Faces tacked to corkboards. Names scribbled in black marker. And in the center, a photo of Imani, smiling at a school play, circled in red ink. Denise screamed. Marcus grabbed the wall to stay upright. Because this wasn't random. This wasn't a one-time kidnapping. This was organized, planned, systematic, and Imani had been chosen. Detective Brooks pulled Marcus aside. "There's something you need to know. Angela Price isn't just running scams. She's tied to disappearances all over Georgia." She showed him a folder. Inside, missing kids. Girls aged 12 to 16. All black. All from working-class neighborhoods. And every family had something in common. They'd all complained about housing, about schools, about corruption. Brooks whispered, "Angela isn't after money. She's silencing people, using kids as leverage." Marcus's blood ran cold, because now it made sense. Why he'd confessed, why Imani was taken. Someone had broken him, twisted him, used his daughter as a weapon. The FBI stepped in. Agents in black suits, SUVs lined the street. They warned Marcus to stay quiet. "Your family is in danger. Don't go public." But Marcus had had enough. He stormed into a press conference, cameras flashing, reporters shouting. He raised the letter high. "This woman is still out there, and if they don't stop her, more of our daughters will disappear." The room erupted. The story went national. And that's when Marcus's phone buzzed. a blocked number, a voice he recognized instantly. Angela. Her voice was calm, almost sweet. "You should have stayed quiet, Marcus." He froze, reporters still shouting questions, cameras flashing. Angela's voice whispered in his ear. "You think you saved her?" "I let her go because I wanted you broken, and now you've made it worse." Marcus whispered back, "What do you want from me?" She laughed. "Not you. Her. The girl you thought was safe." Marcus's heart stopped. He turned. Imani was in the hallway, watching him. Angela's final words, "She isn't yours." She never was. That night, Marcus sat at the kitchen table, hands shaking, Denise sobbing quietly, Imani silent, staring at the floor. The DNA test came back the next day. The test that was supposed to prove Imani was alive, that she was their daughter. It didn't match. Marcus collapsed. Denise screamed. Imani cried out, "Then who am I?" The room went silent. Because the truth was worse than death. The girl they thought they saved, the girl Marcus confessed to killing, wasn't Imani Hayes at all. Weeks later, another package arrived. No return address, no name. Inside, a single photo. Angela Price standing with a young girl. The real Imani, alive, terrified. On the back of the photo, 4 words written in red ink. Blood always tells the truth. This wasn't about a murder. This was about identity. And the real nightmare was just beginning. Marcus stared at the photo, hands trembling. Denise whispered, "That's her. That's my baby." Because there she was, the real Imani, alive, terrified, clutched by Angela Price. On the back, those words burned like fire. Blood always tells the truth. Marcus dropped into the chair. Denise screamed. The girl sitting in their living room, the girl they thought was Imani covered her face. Because if this was real, then who was she? The girl who'd walked into court. The girl Marcus swore was his daughter. The girl DNA proved wasn't. She said her name was Imani Hayes. She believed it. Her school records said so. Her friends called her that. Her teachers did too. But the test didn't lie. She wasn't Marcus's blood. She wasn't Denise's blood. She whispered, "Then who am I?" Detectives stormed back in. They raided apartment 208 again. This time, they tore through the walls. Behind a false panel, boxes, folders, dozens of birth certificates, dozens of school records, all doctored, all fake, and all connected to Angela Price. She wasn't just kidnapping girls. She was swapping them, replacing them, creating identities that never existed. Every child became 2, one to bury, one to live, both trapped in her game. The girl sat with detectives. She wept, said she remembered a woman with braids, said the woman told her, "You're safe now. Your family doesn't want you." The girl grew up believing she was Imani Hayes. She had no memory of another name. But in her dreams, she saw flashes. A house she didn't recognize. A different school. A birthday cake with another name on it. And always, Angela's voice whispering, "Family is blood. But legacy, that's power." The FBI analyzed the photo. It wasn't old. It wasn't staged. It was recent. The background? A motel. Room number stenciled on the door, 312. Agents raided every motel on the interstate. Room after room. But room 312 was always empty. Clean sheets, fresh paint. No trace of Imani. It was a ghost trail, like Angela wanted them to chase shadows. Then came the break. The imposter girl. The one who thought she was Imani collapsed during questioning. Paramedics rushed in. Her wristband slipped loose. Inside her sleeve, a scar. Numbers burned into her skin. 312. The same number as the motel room. Denise screamed. Marcus felt the floor tilt beneath him. Because it wasn't random. The numbers weren't rooms. They were marks, codes, labels. Every girl Angela touched, she branded, marked, tracked. Detective Brooks dug deeper, pulled surveillance from months before Imani vanished. One clip froze her blood. A girl walking with Angela into a van. But not just one girl, two. One was Imani, the other the imposter, both side by side. Same braids, same build, same age. Two lives, one real, one manufactured. Angela hadn't just stolen Imani, she'd created a copy. Marcus pounded the table. She's playing with us. She's using our children like pieces in her game. He turned to the imposter, the girl trembling in the corner. She whispered, I didn't know. I thought I was yours. Marcus's anger melted, because she was a victim too, a pawn in Angela's scheme. He pulled her close. You're not to blame. You didn't do this. But deep inside, a darker question gnawed. If Angela could create one imposter, how many more were out there? Another letter arrived. This one delivered by courier, typed, precise. It said, if you want her back, bring the imposter. Alone, midnight, train yard. Denise cried out. No, we can't trust her. It's a trap. Marcus whispered, she has the real Imani. What choice do we have? Detectives begged him not to go. The FBI set up surveillance, sharpshooters, drones overhead. But when Marcus walked into the train yard, Angela was already waiting, standing in the shadows, smiling. Beside her, the real Imani, alive. Angela's voice cut through the night. You brought her. Good. Now choose. She pushed the real Imani forward, then pointed at the imposter, shaking behind Marcus. One goes free. One stays with me. Choose wisely, Marcus, because blood always tells the truth. The screen fades. The music drops. The voice whispers. This isn't just about murder. It isn't even about family. It's about legacy, and Marcus Hayes was about to lose everything. The train yard was heavy with silence. Rust groaned on the tracks. Floodlights cut across the gravel. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. Angela Price stood in the shadows, one hand clutching the real Imani, trembling under her grip, the other gesturing toward the imposter girl who clung to Marcus's coat. Her voice was steady, controlled. You know how this works, Marcus. One goes free, one stays with me. Choose wisely, because blood always tells the truth. Denise screamed. Don't do it, Marcus. Don't you dare give her the satisfaction. But but the blade pressed against Imani's neck shimmered under the floodlights. One wrong move, one wrong word, and Angela would spill blood in front of them all. Marcus's chest tightened. Sweat ran down his face. He looked at the imposter, who whispered, "Dad, please." Then at the real Imani, whose eyes screamed for help. His voice cracked. "I can't choose," Angela laughed, low, cold. "You already have." Before anyone could react, gunfire split the night. Agents swarmed from both ends of the yard. Floodlights snapped on. Shouts filled the air. Angela shoved Imani forward, dragging her into the shadows. The imposter screamed and bolted for Marcus. The FBI closed in, but Angela was gone, slipped into the night like smoke, leaving chaos in her wake. All Marcus had left was the imposter girl in his arms, shaking and sobbing. The raid made national news. Botched FBI operation. Girl still missing. Angela Price outwits authorities. Imani's face plastered every screen in the country. But the real girl was still in Angela's hands, and Marcus was breaking. Denise refused to sleep. Every night she sat by the window, staring at the street. Every noise made her flinch. The imposter cried herself to sleep, begging them not to send her away. She had believed she was Imani her whole life. Now she didn't even know who she was. And Marcus. He carried the weight of failure, the weight of that moment in the yard, the weight of not being able to save his daughter. 2 weeks later, a motel clerk in Alabama made a call. Said a woman with dark braids and red lipstick had paid cash for a room. Said she was traveling with a teenage girl who looked terrified. Agents swarmed. The room was empty. Angela had already moved, but she left things behind. Clothes in a duffel bag, a burner phone with no SIM card, passports with different names, and taped to the bathroom mirror, a photo. Marcus, Denise, and the imposter girl. The message was clear. Angela was still watching them, and she wanted them to know it. The FBI built a task force, roadblocks across state lines, phone taps, anonymous tips. Then, a stroke of luck. Angela's car broke down outside Memphis. A farmer spotted her arguing with a mechanic. He recognized her face from the news, called it in. By the time Angela realized, it was too late. SUVs boxed her in. Helicopters hovered overhead. Dozens of agents surrounded the gas station. Angela stepped out calm, smiling, holding Imani in front of her like a shield. "You shoot me, she dies," she said. "You take me, you'll never find the others." The others. Plural. The crowd froze. Because that one word turned the case from personal to something much bigger. Negotiators pleaded. Agents screamed orders. Denise sobbed, held back by police tape. Marcus shouted, "Please, take me instead." Angela only smiled. "You still don't understand, Marcus. She isn't just your daughter. She's my legacy." Then, a shot. Not from the FBI, from above. A sniper. The bullet shattered the window behind Angela. Glass exploded. She stumbled, and in that split second, agents rushed. They tackled her, dragged her to the ground. The blade fell from her hand. And Imani dash dash, the real Imani dash dash, was pulled free. Alive. Marcus dropped to his knees. Denise collapsed around her daughter, sobbing. The imposter stood back, tears streaming, whispering, "She's home. She's finally home." For the first time in months, the Hayes family was together, but the scars, they were deep. Months later, Angela Price stood in court. No braids, no lipstick, just a woman stripped bare. The charges filled pages: abduction, fraud, murder, conspiracy. The prosecutor called her a monster. The defense argued insanity. But when the judge asked for her plea, Angela only smirked and whispered, "I'm not the only one." The courtroom erupted, because those words weren't denial, they were a threat. Angela was sentenced to life without parole, no chance of release. But her words lingered. Imani was safe, but hundreds of other girls weren't. The imposter stayed with the family. Denise refused to let her disappear into foster care. "She's ours too now," she said. Marcus tried to rebuild, but every night the same thought haunted him. If Angela wasn't the only one, then how many more Angelas were out there? How many more children stolen, swapped, and silenced? Angela Price is serving life in federal prison. Imani Hayes returned home. The imposter girl remains with the Hayes family. Federal investigators believe Angela Price was part of a larger network. To this day, no one knows how many children were taken. This wasn't just a crime, it was a system, and it may still be out there,